My name is Ryan Sisk, and I'm the COSI advisor for CSU Pueblo. And today we'll be going over why time management skills are so important as the first COSI workshop of the fall semester. So I'll first talk about why time management is important in my life. I, like a lot of you guys, have a lot of things to balance. So I'm working full time, I'm going to get my MBA, and then I also have family commitments outside of school. So it's very important for me to be able to balance all of that time so that none of those areas gets too stressful for me to handle. So what would happen if I didn't have good time management skills in my life? I might be passed up for promotion opportunities. You guys might have some poorly planned workshops, and then I would also have less opportunity for student support, which is the part of the job that I really enjoy doing. So managing my time well allows me to plan ahead and then still have time for emails and the day-to-day aspect of my job. By planning, I'm not playing catch up, I'm not procrastinating and stressing myself out. I still have the time to do everything that I need to do and be prepared. How would I feel if I had poor time management skills? And for a very, very long time, I did have poor time management skills. And I felt stressed and burnt out and feeling like I didn't have enough time in the day. And I know some of you guys probably feel that way too. And I thought that my response to feeling that way is just to cram as much stuff into my 24 hours as possible. And I tried to do that, and I felt so productive for the first maybe 2 or 3 days of doing that, but it wasn't a sustainable plan for me. Yeah, I felt too burnt out after doing that I wasn't able to keep on going. So what is time management and why is it important? Time management is the process of organizing and planning your time between different activities. So it really comes down to what are your priorities? What are the priorities in your life? What is your why? For a lot of you guys are going to college, but there's a why behind why you're here. And you have to kind of dig into that and see what's actually important for you and what's just filling up space in your life. How do you limit your distractions so that you can focus on what's important? This might be silencing your phone while you study, or it might be asking your boss not to call you after hours. Time management can also impact your relationships, mental health, and work and school performance. So if you're constantly rescheduling appointments because you've double booked yourself or something, after a few times that could cause people to lose faith in your ability and lose faith in you. And you don't want that to happen. And also getting stuck in a procrastination cycle is anxiety causing. And that's something that can be avoided with a little bit of planning. 94% of people reported that procrastination had a negative effect on their happiness. But a lot of those people, they don't have the skills to plan ahead and not get stuck in that cycle. So I'll ask you guys this. How would your life look if you didn't manage your time effectively? Does anyone want to share? That's okay, we'll go on. So here are some tips to get better at managing your time. I would always recommend sticking to a daily schedule. Plan out when you're going to get specific tasks done. So if you know that you need to get a project done for school, or you know that you maybe need to plan like a date night with your partner, and it's something that's important to you, you need to prioritize that and actually plan it out. Also, I would recommend that you look into how you're spending your time. You might feel like you're spending a lot of time studying, but if during that time, you're scrolling through Instagram or you get stuck on TikTok, like I know that I do, then you're not actually using that time to truly get what you need done. Also, you should be setting reasonable time limits. So a lot of people want to put a big block just to get these tasks done. But humans can really only focus for a maximum of 90 minutes, but more realistically, 20 to 30 minutes of undistracted work. And I'd always recommend taking at least a 5 to 10 minute break in between, just to kind of let your body rest. Because like I said earlier, if you're always in that like go, go, go mode, you're going to break yourself down, and that's not going to be sustainable. I also recommend breaking down projects into smaller chunks of work. And I wanted to have this workshop at the beginning of the semester because I know that some of you guys might have those huge projects that aren't due until the end of the semester, or some of you guys might have independent study classes. You really need to make sure that you're looking at that at least weekly and seeing what you can get done at the beginning of the semester, so that you're saving yourself in the end. I like to say that your future self will be saved by your present self. So what you can do now will save you from stressing out later. Also, limit yourself on completing fun work to avoid work that's due sooner. I don't know if you guys consider like fun work, but when I was in my undergrad, I used to kind of procrastinate by doing work that I maybe enjoyed more than the stuff that had a deadline. And I would still feel productive because I was getting stuff done, but it wasn't the stuff that I needed to get done, so I was still procrastinating on that. Lastly, avoid multitasking. This is kind of a trick for your brain because you feel like you're doing so much, and you are, but it's affecting your quality. So this is kind of going over that quantity versus quality of work. And when you're trying to multitask, you're actually less productive because you're not focusing your time on that one task that needs to get done. You should also be finding support. So there's a lot of support on this campus if you're looking for it. We have tutoring centers in all of our colleges. You can find support in the COSI program. You can always reach out to me, or I know that many of you guys are in TRIO and they'll help you as well. But if you're having difficulty like studying at a specific time, maybe you could join a study group for your class, or you could set up an appointment with a tutor that's ongoing, just to kind of hold yourself accountable more for that time. And then if you find that it's maybe you're struggling to find time for exercise, if you find a friend that's willing to go with you, you're much more likely to stick to that. Or if you go to an exercise class that's at the same time, you'd be more likely to continue on that goal. You could also attend therapy. Maybe you feel so overwhelmed by all of the things that you feel like you need to do. And attending therapy might help you to prioritize what's important to you and maybe let go of some of those things that are constantly causing you stress. I also strongly recommend setting reminders. I know for me, my trash goes out on Friday. I have an alarm clock that goes off on Thursday night just to remind me to do that, because humans are sometimes forgetful. So it's definitely important that if something is important, like a doctor's appointment or something that you don't go to a whole lot of, to set that reminder. And I always recommend to set this up when you're making the plan, and then include the time for you to get ready and then driving time. That way, if you've completely forgot about this and your alarm goes off, you're not stressing. You still have that time to prepare for it and then drive to where you're going and get there on time. You also need to be prioritizing important tasks. So when I first come into work in the morning, I always try and spend my first 30 minutes on my most important task, because I know throughout the day I'm going to be bombarded with the stuff that takes up my time but isn't necessarily as important. And this for me is like emails where I get requests from my boss, but I like to prioritize those important tasks so that those aren't the ones that are getting procrastinated on. And I always recommend, if you have a defined deadline and that deadline is coming up, maybe start with that one, and then on to the important tasks with no deadlines or their deadlines are pushed back. And if you can, I always recommend delegating. So definitely, like at home, when I'm feeling stressed about my homework and the house is a mess, maybe I ask my husband to do the dishes, or I delegate those tasks to others. Or at work, I can ask for help with projects. I always recommend setting time away for yourself as well. You should schedule in time for yourself just to recharge, because if you don't, you're going to be feeling that burnout. If your life is always go, 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 or maybe you're taking care of little kids, or you're taking care of elderly parents and there's not a whole lot of time for just you, it is equally important to take care of yourself. You need to be your biggest priority and kind of set some boundaries around your time. And it's okay if you allow yourself to exist without having to get anything done. I know that in our culture, it's always talking about side hustles and about how productive you can be and just how much everyone's doing. And I just want you guys to know that it's okay if you're not feeling it, to just allow yourself to be where you are right now. And you don't always have to be productive. You can just rest, and that's totally okay. I also recommend setting goals. I would track your progress through like a project that you might have or something that you're trying to get into, just so you can see how far you've come and where you came from. And I always recommend SMART goals. Those goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And then celebrate your wins. Whenever you finish a project, or you study, or maybe you're on time for work every day, treat yourself to something as a reward, because even though it might not seem like a lot, you're doing better than where you started. And I think that's something that you need to reward yourself for. That way you'll continue to move forward. Lastly, setting time boundaries is something that can be difficult to start doing. It's sometimes difficult to say no to people, and I understand that. But protecting your time is very important, because you only get so much time, and how you spend it should be up to you, and it should be on what's important to you. And I really like this quote from Pedro Sorrentino: "If you don't guard your time, people will steal it from you." And I think that's so true, that if you don't set that time and those boundaries for yourself, people might be asking, oh, can you watch my dog this weekend? Can you watch my kids? Can you do this? Can you pick up this extra shift at work? And it can just get very overwhelming very quickly. So I would start small. Maybe you take control of your life by saying no to the things that are causing you anxiety. Like, this might be your family or your friends or your boss. You really need to look into your life and see, what am I doing that isn't really for me, it's for others, and it's causing me too much stress. And this could be as simple as requesting that your boss not call you after work hours, or asking your parents or other people not to come over unannounced. But setting those boundaries around your time will definitely make a difference in how you manage your time. And also, I just wanted to say that your friends will understand if you aren't able to go to everything, or if you miss an event, and your family will understand too. I know that it's difficult to start setting those boundaries around time, but once you do it, you will feel less stressed. And I'll end with this quote right here: "A plan is what, a schedule is when. It takes both a plan and a schedule to get things done." I just think this is so true, because your plan is what you want to do. You probably have maybe a 5-year plan, or just a plan for your classes to get to your degree, and then you need to schedule those and actually stick to them. Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to share?